Hey there, book lovers. I'm Haley.
And I'm McCayleigh. Welcome to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist,
The official podcast for the Facebook group, All Things Book Related.
We're two besties who are here to share our love for unforgettable characters, unpredictable storylines, and the books we just can't put down.
From our all-time favorites to the latest releases, we're bringing you deep dives, hot takes, and maybe a little friendly disagreement.
So grab your favorite read and let's get ready for some bookish fun.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. We are so happy that you're here with us today. We have got a super fun episode planned for you guys.
That's right. Today's episode, we are talking about our love for audiobooks. Whether we're multitasking, on a long drive, or just want a story read to us like a bedtime fairy tale. Audiobooks have seriously changed the way we experience books.
Yes, we'll be chatting about our love for them, our favorite narrators, some of the best books we've listened to. And to wrap up this episode, we're doing a little discussion about our January book club, which was The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson.
Before we get into it, Haley, how have you been?
I have been good. Just school, work. I am putting more effort into writing my book. I've got like 1/5, I feel like, of the way done with like my first draft. Lovely McCayleigh got to read like the first 60-ish pages of it, but it was good. It's so hard writing like a book. I guess I didn't correlate how just difficult it would be because my ideas are just all over the place, and I'm writing down notes, like I'm physically writing something, or I'll have the notes in my phone. I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to do in this chapter? So it's been getting confusing, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Other than that, our dog Callie, she is a Labrador Retriever. She hurt herself really bad, so she is getting surgery done. She has to go see a specialist. Yeah, she hurt her leg.
Oh my God, what did she do?
Back in November, when we were at the cabin, there was steps, like really steep steps, and she just didn't jump up one, I guess, high enough, and she hit her leg against it. And we thought that she was fine.
Yeah.
Until she kept limping on it randomly, just every now and then. And so Edgar did an exam on her, and he was like, yeah, I think her ACL is torn. So we took her to the vet here for them to do x-rays and everything. It's one of the bones is underneath the other now. So they've got to go in, cut off part of her bone, and put it back up. And she's going to be in physical therapy for 6 months.
God.
I don't know, it's crazy. And we treat her like our child, so we're going to do it.
Oh, I'm sure you were in tears.
I can't live without my dog.
Of course. Well, it's a good thing that, he's liking for this, and he
I know,
caught
right?
it too.
He was like,
Oh my God.
my expertise, me being a doctor, it feels like her ACL is torn. I was like, okay, well, we need to take her to an actual vet that knows more.
Yes. Aw, well, good.
How have you been?
I've been also good. I've been very busy. I feel like every time we talk about our lives, I'm like, oh, I'm so busy every time. Haley went ahead and also read first 50 pages of my book, which is coming out in June. And I have glimpsed at it, but I've yet to actually go through it yet because I've just been doing so many other things. I've been wrapping blind dates with the books. Me and Christian have been planning our honeymoon and all of these things. Yeah. And so I'm just like going place to place. I'm going to be hosting a game night for book club. And that'll be this Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that. We haven't done book club at my house in almost 2 months, probably. Wow. So I was like, okay, I got to get back into gear. I got to clean and do all these things. And then today it's called the Otaku Festival, I think I pronounced that right. But anyways, it came to town this weekend, and at our mall, they have all these food vendors and cute little anime vendor things, cosplayers at the mall. And they had a sumo wrestling how-to vendor. And so they have these in the mall in the middle, everyone walking. They have these mats laid out. These two professionals are out there. I got them on video. I'm going to post it. They are like no pants, but they got that belt. It looks like they're wearing a diaper. I don't know what it's really called, but they were showing everyone how to do it. They did it for real against each other, so that was really interesting. I know, but let's go ahead and get into what we've been reading. What are your recently read
I
books?
haven't read anything, guys, which is so unlike me. We are halfway into February. The only book I have read this month is Daughter of No Worlds, which that was on my top 10 that I for sure wanted to read this year. So I'm glad I got that one out of the way. It was really good. It, like, at 40-50% into the book, it takes a dramatic shift and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally did not expect that. So it was so good. You should totally read it, McKayleigh.
I want to.
It comes with your Audible membership. So all the books in the series are free with your membership. So they're
Wow.
good to listen to. That's the only thing that I've read. What have you been reading?
So, The Courting of Bristol Keats, I just finished like an hour ago. And that, I guess we'll get into that later. This is our book club book episode. So we will be discussing that. And then I have been so busy that I still haven't finished Quicksilver, but I started it after I finished Bristol Keats. I was like, okay, now I can listen to Quicksilver. So I turned it on for the last 30 minutes recently. I was just listening to Quicksilver. And then finally, recently read, air quotes, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, just because I'm waiting until March to finish the second half of that book. So I am on like just cliffhanger moment, waiting.
Speaking of Quicksilver, so going into the audiobook part of this episode,
Yes.
I went Audible. I was like, yeah, I'm probably just going to try listening to it because I really don't have a lot of time because I want to focus on my book. It was $50 to get it from Audible. So I'm texting McCayleigh. I was like, did you buy this? Like, what is happening? Why are audiobooks so expensive?
I know.
What is going on?
Yeah, so at least from an Amazon standpoint, if you narrate audiobooks directly through Amazon, which is also ACX, is what the voiceover actors use, they charge audiobooks based on the length of them. But for Quicksilver, that's a lot of money. So I don't know if that's what they did based on the length of it, because I don't know. I listened to the graphic audio ones, or actually no, they don't have graphic audio for Quicksilver. It's just like a full cast almost, which is so good, by the way. Like, you guys, listen. It's so worth it. Listen to Quicksilver if you can instead of reading it, but buy the Audible credit. Don't pay the $50. Pay 10 or 15 or whatever it is for the credit through Audible, and it'll be much better. But it is so good. I love Kingfisher. He is like my book daddy. Love him.
I'm definitely going to start it after I finish this series. I'm on the second book now of the Daughter of No Worlds. It's called Children of Fallen Gods. I've got it right here. I'm looking at it. So it's good. But let's talk about audiobooks. So I know McCayleigh is more into the audiobook world than I am. If you guys don't know, if you haven't been here since the beginning, I don't know what I'm saying. McCayleigh is an audiobook narrator. So how did you get into narrating books, McCayleigh?
Yeah, so I've always been a theater kid, all through high school, loved it. It really called to me. That was my thing. And then I got to college thinking I had left it all behind. I'm going to go get a real job. And I eventually found this talent scout, and I went with them to LA for like 2 years in a row and did the whole acting thing. And then after that, I moved to Austin, and there's a big acting scene there. I did a few documentary shows, and that was fun. Then we decided Austin wasn't our favorite place to live, so we came back to College Station, and being here, it's harder to travel and go places. Like, it's doable, but when I discovered that I could voice act, it became like, oh, this is so much easier, and I'm still getting to act, and also I don't have to do my makeup every time I want to go act or something. And I mean, in my case too, there tends to be an influx of male voice actors in the industry versus female, because for whatever reason, I think there's just like this preconceived notion of you have to learn all this tech behind editing and, sound engineering kind of stuff. And it's just really not a female dominated field. So there's less competition for me. So I do get more work just because I have a feminine voice. And same thing goes for audiobooks too. I just enjoy it. Audiobooks, it's acting. It is.
Right.
And you can't just read and bore everyone to death. You have to actually give it a little oomph. And this character has a way they talk, and this character has a way they talk and interacts with certain characters and things. But yeah, every project that I've done, I've narrated maybe 5 audiobooks, but each one has taught me something new. It gets easier each time you do it. I narrated Isle of Beasts and Shadows, my own book, so that was really fun. And eventually I would love to get the full cast on that.
That would be fun.
I would narrate it. I'll just be the narrator, have all the character voices inputted later by other people. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just really happy I get to experience the magic of storytelling from both sides, like having to write it and narrate it too. And yeah, I just wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it so much, and I don't have to leave my house.
Right?
That's the best part.
I love that for you.
Yes.
Edgar and I, whenever we went and saw that musical with you and Christian on campus, he was like, "Is McCayleigh a theater kid?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He knows that I'm a theater kid also, and he's like, "Oh, I totally knew that." Because he did band in high school, and I was like, "Oh, the band kids. I did theater."
Two different types of nerds.
Right, exactly.
Yes. I love it. Goodness. But
yes.
So yeah, I'm so immersed in it, and I love audiobooks. And is there anything that sticks out to you?
So,
what gears you towards audiobooks? Why do you love them?
For me, I used to hate audiobooks. I think whenever I was a kid, I used to listen to books a lot. Before I went to bed, I would listen to the Hank the Cowdog books on CD. I would rent them from my library back home when I was a little kid, and I would play them all the time because the narrator did this really cool Texas accent for both the dogs, and I was like, "Oh, this is so awesome." And then I would listen to the Harry Potter series. We had this little DVDs that we put in. It would read it for me. But as I got older and got into college, I was like, audiobooks just aren't for me because I would get too distracted. I think especially now with technology being like on your cell phone, I'm like, I'd rather be on TikTok than listen to a book. But now, since I've moved, I have a different job where my job now, I'm just on my computer for 8 hours a day. And I could be on my phone, but I don't want to be on my phone and be on my computer. It just makes my head go crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me try out Audible because I know McCayleigh loves it. I've tried it out, but it wasn't for me. Tried it out. I love it. I listen to so many different genres and books now through Audible. I love audiobooks. I feel like I listen to more audiobooks now than I do read physical books. They're just easier for me because when I'm multitasking, like doing dishes or folding laundry, I'll be listening to a book.
Yeah, I love listening to audiobooks while I'm driving. They make the car rides go by so fast, and I am never bored because I hate driving as it is. But if you give me an audiobook, I'll be like, oh, I don't mind driving that far. Like, I'll just finish a book, you know? So I do love audiobooks for that reason. And also, I'm a lash tech. So when I'm lashing clients, I don't have to think about lashing while I'm doing it. So it's really nice to have an audiobook going on in my ears while I'm doing that. So audiobooks, they've become a lifesaver. And yeah, also chores and laundry and dishes. All of a sudden, I don't mind needing to do all these chores.
Right, exactly.
Because it means I can listen to my audiobook. Because most of the time when I read a physical book, I tend to either start getting sleepy or I'm like, oh, but I could be watching Netflix right now, or I could be working on something right now, like my book or social media, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think because of audiobooks, and especially now, since you've recently got into listening to them more often, do you think it's helped you read more in a year?
Yeah. Last month, like in January, I think I read 11 or 12 books, which that is huge for me. That's probably the most books I've read in 1 month. And they were all audiobooks. Like last month, I didn't read a single physical book.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy. I'm reading your notes because you put 2 times speed. I was about to say, I listen to them on 2 times speed, sometimes like 2.2 or something. I'll just go crazy.
Yeah, no, the fastest I've gone is 2.5.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the narrator also. Some read slower than others, and if that's the case, then it's like, okay, we're pushing 3 times speed
Yeah.
here. But I do think it's like a muscle, too, that you have to train. Because when I first started listening to audiobooks, I was normal speed, could not speed it up at all. And then finally I was like, let's try 1.2.
Yeah.
Okay, 1.5. And now I don't think I could ever go back. So I do think it's also a muscle that you have to train.
For sure. Do you have like a favorite genre that you like to listen to?
Specifically, their graphic audio or just a full cast production of like comedies. I think it hits so much better on an audiobook, especially like rom-coms. But I will still listen to anything and everything, but my favorites that I've actually been like, wait, what? I had to stop it for a second and like laugh a little bit. I don't know. You don't get that from
like in
many
How
books.
My Neighbor Stole Christmas. Listening to that on audiobook was just, it made it more funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Pretty much listen to anything. I tried to avoid fantasy, but I read Daughter of No Worlds. I'm gonna read QUICKSILVER through audiobook, so we'll see. Daughter of No Worlds was easy to listen to, but there were a couple times where it got confusing, where I had to go back like 30 seconds and re-listen to something to try and process it. But other than that, I mean, I'll listen to anything. I do like memoirs, romance, fiction, whatever. I'll listen to it.
Yay! Do you have a favorite narrator?
Oh, yeah. So last year I reread all the Harry Potter books and I listened to them on Audible. And the narrator for that one is Jim Dale. He has just a perfect voice and he has all these inflections for different characters that makes it so easy to follow along with the story. He just brought so much magic into listening to the Harry Potter books, and they were so good.
Yeah, when I brought up wanting to read Harry Potter, you were like, you have to listen to it. The audiobook narrator is so good.
Yeah.
So I believe you. And then for me, I think mine is Elizabeth Evans. She is probably done by now, but I do know that she was in the process of re-recording all of the Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas for like some anniversary or I don't know exactly what it was, but I think the first time I heard her, it was Throne of Glass, that novel, and that I believe, narrated the entire Throne of Glass series. I think multiple narrators narrated ACOTAR, like each book, but it wasn't her.
Yeah, I think so.
So they didn't have one set narrator, so she's going back and doing it for them. But I just love her voice. It's so like, it's deeper. It's still feminine, but she sounds like...
She sounds like the way I think Aelin would talk.
Yeah.
She has such a perfect voice for Aelin.
Like serious. And when she starts talking, we have to pay attention to this lady. She knows what she's talking about. Right. It's that kind of very feminine, deep voice. But she does such a good job at speed control, too. It's a constant speed throughout. She doesn't rush when things are crazy. So you can still take it all in. Because sometimes as a narrator, you want to be like, and this happened because they fought. But she like captures the emotion as it's happening. And it's like, whoa, what? So you have time to actually process. But I do love her.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but do you prefer that full cast rather than just one narrator?
Of course. Yeah, full cast, specifically if it is graphic audio, but I would still prefer, duo narration over a single. And I applied to be on graphic audio like a year and a half ago.
Fun.
It was long ago. So, and they had a 6-month, like, you'll hear back from us in 6 months.
Crazy.
Yeah, I never heard back. So I was like, okay. And then that's when they were like, if you don't hear back from us in 6 months, reapply. And I haven't yet, but I would like to. So.
Yeah. See, I'm the same. I would rather have a full cast with different voice actors for each character, just because for me, it's easier to follow along that way. I have yet to listen to a graphic audio, but hopefully I will when I listen to From Blood and Ash. So we'll see.
I can't wait till you read From Blood and Ash.
I know. One of my friends, she's reading it right now. And I was like, yeah, I want to read it. McCayleigh, the girl that I do a podcast with, she is on the second book. And she was like, oh my gosh, y'all need to do an episode for every single book. This will make for great podcast episodes. And I was like, you're right. I need to listen.
Gosh, I agree. Let's go ahead and get into The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. So, quick little summary of the book, guys. It's Bristol Keats and her sisters have been struggling to get by ever since their parents died. But when Bristol starts receiving letters from an aunt she's never heard of, promising to help, she realizes everything she thought she knew about her family is a lie. Turns out, her father might still be alive, just not in this world. Desperate to save him, she's pulled into a realm of fae and monsters, where she makes a risky deal with a powerful fae king, Tigan. What she doesn't know, he's the reason her parents were forced to run in the first place, and he's just as determined as she is to track down her father, no matter the cost.
Yeah. Content warning, guys. This book is going to talk about violence, murder, loss of life, grief, and sexual content. And from here on out, there are going to be spoilers ahead. But now, let's get into my review and my rating. So for me, I have read all of Mary E. Pearson's other books, so I just knew I had to pick up this one. This is totally different than her other books. Her other books remind me of Throne of Glass, with a lot of like war and all this other stuff going on. So this was way different. This reminds me a lot of The Cruel Prince because of that fairy romantic-y vibes. I thought that with the fake court intrigue, the morally geared characters, and the slow burn, it just all pulled me in. I will say, though, at the beginning, it was a little tough for me to get into, not because it wasn't good, but because I just wasn't expecting the beginning to be the way that it was, I guess. But once I adjusted, I really liked it. But I'm ready for the next book. I would say I'd give it 4 stars.
Yeah.
I know yours is different.
Well, I didn't hate it and I didn't love it. So for me, I think this was definitely like a 3-star read. I texted Haley. I was like, dude, I've never DNF'd a book in my life. And I feel like it's a crime to do so now that I'm at 50%, but I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's okay, just don't finish it. And I was like, well, actually, I don't think my body will let me. My brain will not physically. So after all that, I got to the part where she was taken, or she was fighting the Dragon? I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone named Greg, I don't know. But it was right before she discovered the tick on her. It was a fight scene, and then they discovered the tick on her back. And that's when it really picked up for me. And I was like, thank God this happens right now, because I was really ready to quit.
Because after that, it feels like the stakes are a lot higher.
Yes. A lot beforehand. Just getting to know the characters. Oh, the Fae can't lie, so they must be telling the truth. That was every other chapter for me, is her believing they don't lie, when in reality they've been lying to her this whole time about her dad. So, I don't know. It was very Cruel Prince. When you said that, I was like, that's exactly what that was. Yeah. So I felt like it was easy to compare to The Cruel Prince too. So I've only read the first book. So for me, reading The Cruel Prince was like, oh my God, so much is happening. They're already immediately immersed in a fae world. Whereas at the start of this book, she's not. She's just a normal girl. And I opened this book expecting fantasy in my face immediately.
And also, hold up the book. The cover, the vibes of the cover, I don't know about you guys, just don't give off the vibes of the book, because this cover is stunning and it has sprayed edges, beautiful. But it's like, what? This doesn't correlate to the book that much to me. The snake, I guess, is the snake in Tigan's room. The keys, because she's supposed to be a key to unlock a door.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fine. It was okay. But I also don't think it helped that I have this super exciting book, QUICKSILVER, that I'm wanting to read. But I'm like, no, I need to finish this book, The Courting of Bristol Keats, before I can read QUICKSILVER. Which I did, but I don't think it helped me like it, you know? It was like, oh, I have to get through this.
I hate that this is how you were introduced to the author. But I seriously, like, the other 2 series that she has, favorite series, love them so much. Please check them out. I love her. They're totally different. It's like night and day.
Okay,
The
like,
writing is so good.
this, don't get me wrong, this book was not bad at all. I will probably read the next one when she releases it. I won't have a book that I really love also waiting for me, so I'm sure it'll be in a different mindset. But
Yeah.
we listened to the book. Did you like the audiobook narrator?
Yeah, so the narrator was Brittany Presley. She had a great voice for audiobooks, and I want to check out what other books she's narrated because her voice was just so easy to follow along. Even though this was a fantasy book, it was so easy for me to kind of pick up and understand what was going on with her voice. I also loved at the end that there was the interview with the author Mary and the narrator, which that's something I haven't seen listening to audiobooks yet, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, when listening to I liked her too. When I listened to the interview, she said that she doesn't normally narrate fantasy novels. And I thought that was interesting because I really liked her. And normally and I think it's because I love Elizabeth Evans so much, sometimes if the narrator sounds like a child, then I'm probably not going to enjoy it as much. Like my voice too. It can be high-pitched and like, oh my God, this and I and this, la la la. I don't know. I just love Elizabeth Evans and how mature her voice is that I end up comparing everyone to her, which is not okay. But I do love Brittany Presley. Her narration is amazing. Do you think it's possible for Bristol to love both her father and Tigan, given how gravely they've hurt each other, or do you think they will stay together?
I think that Bristol can love her dad and Tigan even though what happened to them so many years ago, it was super messed up. One thing that kind of confused me, I did not correlate at first that Tigan and Bristol's dad were basically brothers, and Bristol's dad was the one that stabbed Tigan because the years weren't correlating to me. I was like, what? And then Tigan was like, the years in the mortal world compared to the fair world, it's like it's been only 6 months. What is happening? That was crazy. I think, yeah, she can love them both. Love isn't just black and white, and her relationship with both Tigan and her dad is totally different. But I think that it would be a difficult relationship for her to stay with Tigan. I think that the betrayal that her dad did to Tigan isn't something that will just go away. As to whether they'll stay together or not, I think it just depends on whether or not they can just move past all that history.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So I just finished this, and this is really fresh on my mind. But Tigan finds her dad, Bristol's dad, in this barn or wherever they are, and they have a quick little squabble. And Bristol's dad says to Tigan, "Why are you so mad? I just stabbed you."
Yeah.
And Tigan is like, "Dude, you didn't just stab me. You stabbed me with this demon blade, and now I'm eternally cursed." Like, I was like, okay, cool. And then I wanted Bristol to be angrier than she was.
Yeah.
Because she was, let me be cool and let me catch them in the act, when in reality they already knew because they spied on her and where she went and everything.
Yeah.
So when she confronted them about it, like, I was like, okay, they know, so now explode.
Yeah.
Be mad, be angry. Well, anyways, she storms off after that. And then Tigan follows her to her room or wherever she goes after, because he's like, this conversation's not over. And he follows her. That conversation that he had alone with her, it was like, there was no need to even follow her, dude, because you did nothing except get more. You got mad at her. That was what happened. And then he stormed out. And for me, after that, if I were Bristol, I'm leaving. I don't want this drama anymore. Me and my sisters, we're okay. We have the money painting. I don't want any part of this anymore. I'm leaving. Because I would feel betrayed by both of them. Like, if you really, like, family, your dad, you really wouldn't trust me enough to let me know. Why would you put me through so much pain to leave and act like you died and now leave us parentless? Because now you have no parents and you're just leaving these 3 daughters on their own. I think that's unforgivable.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. And then Tigan, he didn't do anything to that extreme, but I would still be angry. I do think I could forgive Tigan if it were me. But anyways, rant over.
Whenever Bristol would see her sisters through that portal, I wanted to cry. I don't know why. It just reminded me of my two younger sisters. And I was like, oh, this little one's like my little sister. And, like, Bristol reminds me a lot of like my middle sister, Hannah. We're just a year apart. I texted her. I was like, you remind me a lot of this character that I'm reading in my book right now.
Oh,
I know.
I love that.
Well, going back to what you were talking about with the tick that was put on Bristol's back, do you understand Bristol's parents' reasoning for doing that? Do you think that it was the right thing for them to do?
I understand their reasoning. I mean, it's the same reason why you circumcise a baby when it's born. I know, weird analogy, but you're making a decision in hopes of, okay, this will be better for them, except circumcision cannot be reversed like this tick can. So I think it's actually better in Bristol's case if she does want this tick gone. However, when she is old enough, like she's an adult, you can tell your child, you should have told her upon like deciding, hey, I'm gonna go save your mom.
Right.
And what baffles me the most is that one sister knew the truth, that they were fae.
The oldest one. Yeah.
And okay, one sister knows, just one, and then you had a whole year to tell your other two sisters, and you never did. So this is almost the parts of a miscommunication trope that I hate so much. Because it's like there's no reason for it. Almost. Like, I get it. Plot. We need it for plot. But it makes me mad. And it could have been resolved way faster than it was dragged on to be.
Right.
But what about you? What do you think was the right thing to do with the tick and
Totally
everything?
agree. I think that, Bristol's parents probably thought that by hiding Bristol's powers that they were giving her a normal life, that she would be okay. I get why they did it, but it probably wasn't the right choice. Like you said, it's such a big secret. They should not have not told anyone before both parents just up and left all their kids alone to fend for themselves. So that was shady on their part. I would not have done that. But before we go, let me say, I don't know if I've said it or not, but we'll say it again. Our book club read for this month is QUICKSILVER by Callie Hart. We've talked about QUICKSILVER over and over. McCayleigh's reading it. I'm going to start it soon. So make sure to read it, and we'll do an episode about it, and we'll talk about it.
Love Kingfisher. And you guys, we're going on. I'm wearing merch right now because it is absolutely the cutest. We got our coffee cup running away, powered by coffee and plot twists. Just so a little reminder, our merch website, our merch store, it's up and running. So go ahead, log on to Instagram, our website, find us, find our link tree. Everything is available in shop. So tell us what you like. Make sure you take a picture of yourself. Tag us. We love to see them, and we love to share them.
We're already slowly starting to see people send us DMs with them and their shirts or like tag us. So it's like, oh, this is so fun. So make sure to tag us in everything.
Yes.
Other than that, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode of Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. We hope that you enjoyed hearing our thoughts about audiobooks and all about our January book club read. We would love to hear what you thought about this episode. So just send us a message or a comment on our socials.
Thank you guys so much for listening and supporting us. If you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, check out our Instagram or Facebook page at Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. There's a sign-up form in our link tree. From our link tree, you can also visit our website, sign up for our email newsletter, and check out our brand new merch.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Haleys.books.
And you can follow me on Instagram at McCayleigh Daniels.
Join us for our next episode where we will be chatting with a special guest. We are so excited to share all the details with you guys.
Yes, and you can expect a podcast episode from us every Thursday. See you next time.
Bye.